Hi everyone, nice to see you all today. I'm glad you've joined us. I'm talking today with Chris Cantrelle, who's a very good friend of mine. I've known her a few years and I'm intrigued by the work that she does. I'm hoping she'll share some bits with us today. Um, I'll let Chris explain to you what she does and how she does it, because she's multi-talented and multi-skilled, very adventurous, and a delight to talk to. So good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm good, Victoria. Thanks. That was an amazing introduction. I'm not sure I can live up to that.
Well, you do, because I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. But you're
Yeah,
very colourful and you're always very sweet and kind. There's nothing harsh about your work, but you are quite varied. I know that you've done some work in theatres, you've done sewing and bombing, and I don't know, all kinds of things. So let's unravel.
yeah.
How did you get started? What is your creative impulse? When did it start?
I think as soon as I could pick up a crayon, I just my parents both worked, and I was brought up by my grandparents on both sides during the days. And my grandmother on one side was a seamstress, and so I would go around there and she would give me bits of fabric and big needles and threads, and I would just sew all kinds of rubbish. And then my grandmother on my other side, I'd turn up at her place, and she lived in a flat with an amazing view over a railway and allotments to some houses in the distance, and she'd give me paper and pencils, and I'd be sitting there drawing at what I saw out the window. So yeah, I think it started sort of early on, and I do remember spending evenings in my bedroom just drawing, and this was in the 60s, so it was very psychedelic. And I would do these most amazing psychedelic things, and I do remember I had a cupboard, like a dressing table kind of thing in an alcove, and I had a white wall at the back of it, and I just remember I had pens, and I don't know if it was like the very beginning of felt tips in those days.
Yeah, I remember when they arrived.
I did God knows what on this wall. My parents just let me, and I did all these colourful things on this wall. So it's always been there. I think it kind of dropped off when I grew up, went to work, got married, and just had other things to think about. I did a bit of knitting, not very successfully at the time, and I kind of gave that up. But I'm very much kind of one of those people that will, as far as husbands are concerned, I'll try and sort of support them and get interested in what they're doing. And so my mind kind of did lapse a little bit. And I think it was in the 90s, well, when the boys were small. I had the boys in the 80s, and they're both very creative. The eldest one has gone on to do set design, as you know, and is now doing animated backdrops for stage shows all over the world. So he had the artistic tendency. So I was just encouraging them and doing things with them. And I think it was in the 90s when I was invited by somebody I met, and I can't remember how I met her, to join a new art group that was starting, which turned out to be Maidstone Visual Artists Network, which then started challenging me to do works to be exhibited. Now, I think I started off years ago. I did calligraphy as well. So I can
Oh,
show
thank you.
I've got little bits here. Yeah, so I kind of progressed. I sort of progressed from sort of drawings, calligraphy, to folk art style paintings, to mixed media, to textiles, and that's kind of where I am now with visible mending and things like that.
Right.
But this was one I remember. I was working in a little bookshop in West Malling, and I had loads of time. It wasn't very busy. So I used to take drawing in with me, and that was one of the first ones I did when I was doing a calligraphy course. Hang on, there
Oh,
we go.
pretty. Yes. Yes. Is
Yeah.
that Paradise plant?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
mean,
so
I'm always in awe of people who do calligraphy. I have tried. I have got brushes and all kinds
yeah.
of things, original Chinese brushes as well for
Oh, wow.
Chinese calligraphy. And I'm just not
Yeah.
really, I'm not very good at it. So I do appreciate the skill involved.
Yeah, I did it for quite a long time, and I actually sold things. A friend of mine, he wrote poetry, and I illustrated some of his poetry. And I had someone else who had some therapy rooms, who was a hypnotherapist, and he'd found a particular poem that he wanted. And I remember doing, it was a bit of a collage. I did the calligraphy, but then I added, sort of painted
Mhm.
structures around the outside. It looked a little bit like a temple, but
Oh,
and then I went on to crochet. So painting. Yes, here we go. This is one of the art group paintings. You can tell. I'm influenced by the '60s, can't you?
yes,
Get it a little bit.
reminds me. Yeah, 60s,
So
70s, early 70s, but late 60s.
was
Yeah,
yeah.
flower
This was
power.
it was for a cafe, and I had the jug,
Mm.
and I also had a shoe. I had a ceramic shoe, and for whatever reason, I decided I'd go totally off the wall and put them together. So,
Yes.
that was one of the things. So,
Mm. So
freeform crochet.
you've been exhibiting quite a lot of your work over the years then.
Only because I joined the art group, to be honest. I don't think I would have thought about doing it myself.
Right.
Um, I wouldn't have known really how to, but it did. It did get quite big at one point. When I say we had the art group did get very big, Maidstone Visual Artists Network, and I was kind of the organizer, secretary, and treasurer. And we got the. Have you been into the Stag in Sevenoaks?
Yes, yes.
In the upstairs cafe, there is a massive wall where they can have
Yeah,
art exhibitions,
yeah.
and I rather rashly, they gave me permission to have that wall for a month, and I rather rashly told the group that I would go and organise the hanging with my son.
Uh-huh.
And my God, it was a big wall. And I think I took every piece that I'd ever made over there. So
Oh,
I can share a photo of that with you afterwards, if
yeah.
you want to share it anywhere. It
Mm.
was big, and there's a picture of me down in the corner,
Yeah,
with this
please
massive
do.
eye.
Yeah, please do.
But
I'll tag it along to the end of the video, the
yeah,
interview. But
yeah,
that must have been a plethora of colour and shape and
it
form.
well, it was with mine, but not everybody does. There were some artists who worked in black and white.
Mhm.
The group has always been inclusive, and we are still going now. It's a monthly meetup, but
Uh-huh.
there's not many of us left since the pandemic. But it's inclusive, so we would have people doing jewelry, so we would have to organise for boxes to be available.
Mm.
There were photographers, mixed media, so it is a complete mishmash of everything. Because I know some art groups will stick to a particular
Mm.
theme, won't they? So we don't do that. We don't
Yeah,
do that.
right.
So I so when I the other thing that I love doing is freeform crochet.
Yeah,
So
yes, that's
yeah,
pretty.
I'm trying to work out where the camera is on here.
Yeah,
There we go.
you're on shot. Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. So I make them into brooches.
Mm.
So and I have been selling those.
Uh-huh.
So this
They'd
is
be great on little hats as well, wouldn't they?
yes, they
And
do. They
bag,
do.
little bag,
I've got
shoulder.
yeah,
Yeah.
all sorts.
Yeah.
Um, so the other thing that I was doing was crazy patchwork. I started
Okay.
doing
Yeah.
crazy patchwork. I said I was going into. Uh, there we go. Now
Oh
this
yes. Yeah.
is not actually sewn.
It needs to
Hang
go
on.
more central to
No,
your left. That's it. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
it's really weird. I'm not moving it. It's moving. I can see it. It's moving, and I'm not moving it. How very odd. There we go. This is actually stuck, not sewn.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yeah, it's glued onto a canvas, and just the edges. Um, so I was doing lampshades. I was covering lampshades with this.
Yeah.
So but so when I joined the sewing group, I said, I don't sew, I stick.
I like that.
Had to unlearn a few things, but
Oh, it's different, isn't it? It's variety.
Yeah. And I've got, I'm going to have to move this for a minute. Okay, so I can show you what I've got on the wall here. I hope I can show you.
Lovely.
There we go. This is it's not really going to show it very well, is it?
Well, it's interesting colours. I love the colours with the dark background.
Yeah, it's on netting. It's on netting.
Really?
And I don't know if you watched the Sewing Bee last night. If anybody watched Sewing,
I did. Yeah. This is June, by the way, in case you're watching this retrospectively. Well, I'm thinking of the audience. If they're watching this retrospectively, it's June 2024.
Oh yes, and it was the recycling and reuse week, and they did bags, make it using fabric offcuts. Yeah. So for our flower, we did a flower power exhibition recently, and I did this prior to the Sewing Bee, using yarn offcuts. Oh
yes, very pretty.
It's a big flower.
Yes,
it's a big flower on a canvas.
Okay, yeah, and a big button. Is that a button or is that more layers?
Big button.
Yeah,
big button. And but it's done with the same technique, but it's hand sewn rather than machined.
Yeah,
but it's all
quite big, isn't it? That's a large. Oh, it's beautiful, very 3D. Yeah,
it's 15. Is it? It's 12 by 12, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. Quite dramatic, but it's quite subtle in places.
Yeah. Well, the one I just showed you, the one on the wall, and this went into a flower exhibition recently.
Oh,
so there we go.
So you're quite prolific. You're prolific, Chris. So what how much time do you think you spend a week actually creating? Just out of interest.
Now I'm not working. Now I'm not working. I mean, some days I can sit here and just lose all track of time. Other days, it might just be an hour. So I don't know. Weekly, I mean, it's got to be at least 12 hours a week.
And do you jump around different styles and techniques, mediums?
That's my problem. I can't stick to one.
Is it a problem?
I just can't stick to one. I don't know. Because
you're having fun.
Yeah. Oh no, I am having fun. I mean, when I belonged to the art group, sorry, I did mention this before, but we haven't talked in the interview. But I retired from work. I was running a charity shop for quite a few years, and great place for inspiration and good materials, by the way.
Yeah.
And I retired, and I thought I don't want to be doing nothing, So as well as the art group, which had kind of wound down a little bit, I went and joined a sewing group. So it's called Soul Stitch, and we meet weekly. And the lady who runs it gives us different projects. And at the moment, we're doing a recycled denim project. So it has to be old. It has to be something that's not used anymore. And we're turning it into bags and things like that. So we were given patches, and I sewed a patch. There we go.
I do like embroidery and things like that on denim. I don't know what it is about denim, but it does lend itself. It's very hippie, isn't it? We're hippie girls.
It's very hippie, isn't it? Yes.
Hippie
and
girls,
then I've got. I will have my name underneath. It's just outlined at the moment, but my name will be under there. And then this will be a shoulder bag.
Yeah.
But I think as far as variety is concerned, I'm crocheting. So I kind of have there's the art group, and we're organising an exhibition at Allington Library in October with a theme of rectangles. So I don't know what that's going to be.
Yeah.
So I've got the sewing group, and we're having a pop-up shop in Fremlin Walk at some point in July, but I'm not sure of the date. I'll let you know.
So you've got a lot of deadlines.
I'm making a little blanket that I wanted to do for myself. So I've kind of got 3 strands at the moment.
And something for yourself. Yeah, I'm thinking,
exactly,
you're responding to goals and set targets there, so it keeps you motivated.
Yeah, well, I think I found when I was just doing stuff on my own, I was running out of what's the word, motivation. If I was just at home on my own doing stuff just because I thought, oh, that would be nice, there was no deadline to it. There was no real purpose for it, other than I'm just doing something that I like. It's strange, isn't it? Because as a child, you don't think like that. No. You just do it because you enjoy it. Yeah. But as you get older, you find you have to have a purpose for it. So anyway, having joined the groups and having the purpose of, doing something that other people can see, it kind of keeps me going, and also just going to the groups as well. I just enjoy doing things in group. I'm a bit of a workshop junkie in my past, I think.
Yeah. Anybody, so tell me about the theatre, the props and all the things that you've renovated and worked on, because I know you've done a lot of prop work for theatre.
I have, yeah. That was because my son he does set design for the Seven Oaks Panto, and he also runs the youth theatre there. So mostly I've helped with props and things for the youth theatre. So he loves setting me challenges. So he'll just give me a call and say, "Are you free for a couple of days to come and help me?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." So I went over once, and we were making stained glass windows, which we're going to hang up, be in front of the lights to make amazing shadows. And it was all done with on stage shows. You've got coloured gels that go over the lights to make all the different colours. In old-fashioned shows, it's not so much done with, but
no, electronic now.
It's like plastic, So we cut out these fiberboard windows with all the stained glass patterns, and then I had to cut all the plastic out and stick it on, and it turned out well. Last time he gave me 2 days to make what he called were water bags. Now this was a joke. Yes, they were jokey ones. Okay. They were beach balls. The massive giant beach balls.
Yeah.
That high. I got there, and he had 2 of these multicolored beach balls, and he said he wanted them covered in this hessian with an extra bag on the side and a tube to make it look like it was a water bottle to go on somebody's back. So it had to have straps to put it back.
Okay. Different.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I found was that the hessian didn't cover the colour. So I went shooting off to the charity shops in Seven Oaks to find some sheets to cover up the balls first. And then the hessian was in strips. So I had to sort of put it in strips around these 2 balls. Sew it all up by hand, bearing in mind I've got a big needle and an inflatable ball underneath. And then sew these extra bags on. And then they had to have the straps on to go over, and it was a joke. These 2 water carriers, they literally were walking on stage with these great big balls on their back. So
that's amazing. I remember you were doing something with some dragons that needed renovating.
Oh, I did. I've forgotten about those.
Yeah, I remember. They made a big impression on me.
They were. Oh God, yes. I had to repaint the heads and wash all the bodies and brush them all because they'd all got matted. They'd been used for several years. Oh my God, yeah. My house really did look like a Chinese laundry.
That's amazing.
The other thing was he said somebody had to be an octopus. Could I just make some 12-foot tentacles to be attached?
12-foot tentacles.
12-foot tentacles, yeah.
Oh, you're a Trojan. So what's happening in the future then? How would you like to take this forward? Have you got any plans, inspirations?
Well, at the moment, the sewing group that I'm with, Sew Stitch, are taking part in the monthly repair shop in Loch Meadow in Maidstone.
Okay.
The first Saturday of each month. There are lots of different skills around in there, and you can take things in to be repaired. There are ladies who can actually do machine sewing. There are men who can repair bicycles.
Right.
But it's very about recycling as well. So we're there to encourage visible mending. 10 till 2 on the first Saturday of each month at the Lock Meadow Market building.
Right. Anybody who lives in the area, you might like to know that. Yeah, great. That's interesting. Is there anything else you'd like to try to do? Obviously, you're into your sewing at the moment. Is there anything else that's...
And much as I would love to, you know, run day-long workshops and things in, you know, crochet, patchwork, the visible patch. I forgot to show you that one.
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
It says love. You can't see it. It says love, and it was one of my it was one of my pandemic. You know, sort of crazy patchwork. I would love to do that. And I have run a crochet workshop for the sewing group. We have different disciplines that we're all learning, which is great. I think, you know, if I could do one-to-ones or small workshops for half a day, that kind of thing, I would be very happy doing that. Yeah, very happy doing that. But you did, I think, you know, you did ask me at some point if I had any kind of forward plan, you know, which I tend to kind of go with the flow a little bit. So
sometimes we have a yearning to fulfill something we haven't achieved yet. And you seem quite happy with everything you've done so far and what you're doing, which is a lovely place to be. Yeah. And at the moment, you know, you're filling people's lives with colour and shape and form and texture. It's very tactile what you do.
I think, I think colour's really important, to be honest. I really do.
Yeah. And you're an organiser. You organise and motivate other people to create bigger events. So yeah, I'd go back to my introduction. You're a very interesting person, fascinating, and full of ideas, really. Because if you're given a task, you find a way of doing it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I think, if anything, you know, I do things sometimes just because I want to. Things come. I'm sorry, you're talking, and things are just coming into my head. I hope it's okay, because I found these, which were just grey elephants in a charity shop, and I decorated them.
Oh wow.
But and I have lots more to do, but you know what I don't do is market myself.
Yeah, well, that's a separate issue, isn't it? A lot of artists and artisans don't market themselves. Some wish to, but we can talk about that.
I know, and I am reading your book. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm reading your book.
Brilliant. Thank you. So on that note then, is there anything, how can people get hold of you if they want to include you in a project that they're running, or if they want to get a chat with you or perhaps interview you themselves, or if they're interested in art, how would they contact you?
Well, I'm happy to give you my email address, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook.
Is it Chris Cantrelle or is it a different name?
Well, on Instagram, it's Cantrelle Chris. I don't know why they wouldn't accept Chris Cantrelle. There was obviously other people there. Cantrelle Chris. I don't know if there's any way you can spell out my name, because people rarely get it right.
I'm going to include it in the description and in the comments, so it'll all be available to everyone. And
on Facebook, it's Chris Cantrelle, or I've got another page which is CC Creative.
Well, thank you very much. That's great. So I hope if Chris has inspired you to take up any of these activities, to be creative, to get back into your creativity, or if you would like to commission her, you know, maybe you'd like a cushion or a bag, or maybe you'd like to attend one of the events that she's participating in and organising. Trying to put those down. Obviously, it's current for this moment. If you're looking at it retrospectively, pop along to Chris's Facebook and Instagram and check her out and see what she's up to, because I know from personal experience she's up to loads of stuff.
Oh, thank you. Can I just add that I do think that everybody is creative, you know, and you don't need to get it right.
Yeah, well, it's true. Everything, you know, that is a true way to be. Anyway, thank you very much then, Chris, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. And goodbye, everyone.